Hi, everybody. Welcome to Storytime with Advait. And this is me, your host, Advait Gharat. And today we have with us a very dear friend of mine and a graphic designer and artist. And there are a lot more names to him, which I will let him introduce himself. His name is
Right,
Aniket Jatav, and he has been a friend of mine for quite some time now. Aniket, why don't you introduce yourself?
right. So, as Advait introduced, like he gave us a brief intro about me. So, basically, what I do is I'm a full-time designer. I do digital illustrations. I take care of branding, things like that. A lot more the fundamental side of every company, like what sets up for their future in the long run. So, I take care of all those things as of now. Apart from that, I make artworks from Instagram, a bunch of illustrations. I try to be like as consistent as I can, but as of now, I'm sort of on a break. But I'll get back sometime soon.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit intro about myself.
And that's those are two very important, I think, huge parts of your life. One is your career, which is you
Yes,
work full time in a company where you work as a
right,
designer, you work there full time. That's your day job. And
right.
you also freelance for other brands, other people. That is
Mm-hmm.
another part of your life. And there is a third part, which is Instagram. And you casually
Yes.
mentioned it like it's not a big deal, but Aniket has
Mm-hmm.
about 70,000 followers on Instagram,
Right.
and he kind of blew up 3 years ago,
Like
3 years ago,
2017. Yeah.
2017. He blew up in 2017 with his artworks. I had been a follower and a fan since before that. We were in the same
Right.
college together, both of
Yes.
us studying the very wrong
Yes.
thing that we should not have been studying, which is computer engineering,
Agreed.
and
Totally. Totally.
wasting our time doing something we don't like. Um, and we were in the same class. Aniket used to draw a lot of things. He used to make digital artworks back then in 2017, and I really liked them and appreciated what he did. He wasn't very famous online then, but I used to love all his stuff.
That's
And when he actually got famous, when he actually blew up in 2017, I was very happy because there are a lot more nerds like me who liked these artworks and everything else. So Aniket, how my first question to
mhm.
you is
Yes.
what is the origin story of your art? I will
Oh,
be very nerdy while I'm talking to you because I know you'll understand all the
right.
references. So
Of course, of
is
course.
the origin story of your artworks? Where did you start making artworks? Since when have you been interested in art? And when did you jump in to digital art? Because I know you
Hmm.
did sketches and all as well. So when did you
Yes.
jump into digital art?
So, like art as a career, like never thought of it.
Hmm.
Always, like until I was in like 11th, 12th grade, always wanted to be like an engineer and wanted to get into coding and all. So, on the side, I was learning coding separately, but also like art has been a hobby since my childhood days. So,
Hmm.
like as far as I remember, like I was 5 or 6. Since then, I'm drawing and just replicating things, copying things from here and there, sketching them on paper. So it has been like a sort of like my escape from everything,
Right.
but never considered it as a career, like
Hmm.
never at all.
I don't
It
think
was like,
I don't think
yeah,
Indian parents push you for an artistic career, really,
right.
especially if you choose science after
Mhm.
11th.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah,
Uh,
but it's
so
great. Yeah, yeah. Continue.
like as you said, like never thought of it as a career, and neither did my parents. And even like in engineering, like when I got into engineering after like so many attempts. So in the first year itself, I was not drawing or doing anything at all. Similarly, in the 11th and 12th grade, I was not doing like I gave up on art completely. No single sketch, like occasional random things here and there, but nothing like on a daily basis or something like that. So I think I was in second year, first year, second semester.
Hmm.
So Then someone from the I had a bunch of friends in IT stream in our college.
Yeah.
So I mean they got separated in the second year, but first year we were in the same class and all.
Hmm.
And I think you came in during the second year
I came
after the
here in the
diploma.
third semester.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So those people they showed me like we know that you draw. So they showed me a couple of Instagram profiles, and I was not even on Instagram back then. I started my Instagram after looking at their profile.
Yeah.
So then I started my Instagram. I thought maybe why not just the scribbles that I do on my books and all. Let's just post them. So
Yeah.
started from there.
Hmm.
Started from there. Then started doing digital art like
So you
using
started doing
Flash.
digital art when you was in the first year of engineering? You
Yes.
started.
For
Okay.
yes, first year for second semester basically. So started like just trying things out here and there, Corel Draw
Hmm.
and basic software, very basic tools. So very trash art also, like not even like good art, very trash.
Yeah, I think everybody
So
starts like that. You grow
yeah,
in time. You can't just be good the day you start.
right. So I think my actual growth started in the second year,
Hmm.
and I started replicating works from a digital artist named Justin Maller, and I
Hmm.
used to pick up
Right.
his artwork,
Hmm.
tried to replicate his style, and I went ahead with that style for a long time, like at least
Hmm.
for a year or so. I was just doing iterations on his style, like how he achieved his result. I mean,
Hmm.
everyone should see his work. He's great. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I
uh,
have. You have shown
uh,
his profile to me so many times.
yes,
I've appreciated him,
yes,
and
yes.
he's
So
just a great artist. For everybody who's
uh,
watching on YouTube, I'll pop some of his artworks on screen right now. For everybody
definitely.
who's listening, you should definitely go and check Justin Moller on Instagram.
Yeah. So at this point, he's the chief creative officer of DeviantArt. So a very big thing. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to get some acknowledgement from him someday in the future,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
happened at some point. But the thing is, like, I was just trying to rip off his style, and on that process, I sort of found my own style. Like when trying to replicate things and all, then I found like okay, I can do certain things differently. I cannot be the same as him. So that's where sort of my personality came in. Like uh, I always like to pay attention to details, like
Hmm.
little things here and there. So those all things I started improving in my art. And until I think I was in 2017 or 2018, I did not even have a drawing tablet. I was just doing it
Yeah,
using
you're
my mouse
doing
and all.
all mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was painful to
Yes.
watch. Painful to
Yes.
watch you do
Yes.
it because all of your artworks are so detailed and so they have so much detail, all of them. And still, all of you did all of them with a mouse, and I think you were comfortable with a mouse so much that you didn't want to buy a tablet. I remember
Yes.
you
Yes.
choosing to not buy a tablet even though you had a chance to because you just were
Right.
comfortable with the mouse. But after you
Yeah.
bought your graphic tablet, I think
Tablet.
that's when everything changed. Everything became
Totally.
easier.
Like even my art style, like it took me like a while, a month or so to get used to it. But once
Hmm.
I like got used to it, my process totally changed. Now I don't even imagine myself working with a mouse
Without,
any
yeah,
day. Yeah,
yeah.
even my very basic like design work, which random designers do, like all other designers, which is
Hmm.
on the corporate side of design,
Right.
even that I do it using my tablet. Like, there's no in between there.
Yeah, because it's a part
Not
of your
really.
workflow now, and I don't think it is easy to
Yeah,
change your workflow because back then
right,
the mouse was your workflow. Now the graphic
right.
tablet is your workflow. So
Hmm.
I think that's going to be uh, it's going to be here for a while until there is the
Right.
next thing, whatever that is, whenever that comes
Yeah.
in this
Hmm.
field. But I don't think anybody or any digital artists are moving away from graphic tablets anytime soon.
No,
And
I don't think so.
yeah, that brings me to my question, which is you
Hmm.
started doing this in college. You were
Right.
and you didn't know about it before this, so you were learning
Hmm.
for the first. It takes you at least 2 years to learn something properly.
Right.
So you were doing this with college. I know I have done things with college, and I've seen you also do this. But I
Hmm.
want you to tell everybody who's listening how tough was it to actually balance college and
Oh.
your artworks and everything that you were
Mm.
doing and learning how to use everything.
Sort of rough, but I
Hmm.
would also say like I started paying more attention here. Like started compromising on my studies to say
Yeah,
like academics at all. Uh,
both of us did that.
one Yes, yes. So for the first 2 years at least, I was trying to escape from my academics part of it and trying to focus on this side of things, like being
Art.
creative.
Yeah,
And that's where also like I felt most comfortable, like how engineering and all those things were. So the
yeah,
first 2 years were just getting left and right, failing at subjects and all those things.
yeah,
But on the other side, there was this doing art and not going to college itself. Start
yeah, yeah.
like I did not even used to bother. Like it was just like that. Like at the
Yeah,
last minute, we'll see. Like
you didn't even go to college for quite some time. You just were at home.
yes,
You were doing your artworks, which did
yes,
not make a lot of sense back then to your parents or to your teachers. But
right,
I think
right.
now where you are in life, it is because
Hmm.
you spent all those years and
Uh,
all that time
exactly.
working on your art. So I think it
Right.
turned out for the best.
I like to think the same. Like to think the
Yeah,
same because I mean, barely like a few people like who were like you and me. Only those people like appreciated the work that I was sort of doing.
yeah.
And like when I started, I did not start it for like right away for the appreciation or getting the
Hmm.
recognition. But after some point of time, I thought maybe like in our college, you saw how the ecosystem was, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone was getting sort of acknowledged for one or the other things,
One or
but
the other thing.
art was one thing where like no one tried to
Nobody
acknowledge
cared.
anyone
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, nobody
Yes.
cared.
So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So totally stopped giving like a damn to the college. Like I like we'll see what happens when the
Yeah.
day comes, the day of facing the professors and all. So it was like a month or so of very rough 2 months at the before the exams and all.
Hmm.
But the rest of the 8 9 months which I used to spend like doing my artwork and all and not going to college, those were
Hmm.
like sort of the best time that I've had throughout.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
balanced it quite well, I would say, because you still passed the year, you still passed college, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and you still improved your art style. You were still learning how to use all these
Yeah.
softwares in the first
Mm-hmm.
in the first couple of years, and then you learned how to do it. You learned how to do it well, and then
Right.
between all of that, you blew up in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
which was I think the
Yeah.
second year of you doing digital artwork,
Yep. Yep.
which
Exactly.
is completely insane because people spend a lot of time,
Right.
uh, and people spend a lot of time putting effort in their artworks, and
Mm-hmm.
then they sort of try to blow up, or they
Mm-hmm.
blow up after they have put in a lot of effort. For you, I'm not saying it came easy, but for
Right.
you it came relatively sooner,
Early.
because
Yeah.
in just the second year of doing digital art
Right.
you blew up. Because if people who are watching who don't know what Aniket does, he makes artworks based on different fandoms, different TV show characters, mostly
Pop culture.
animated, pop culture. Everything is pop culture based, and in
Yeah.
today's world I think all of us relate to pop culture on a very different level. Each one of us has this connection to pop culture, where I am into all superheroes, all superhero movies, and so is Aniket, and so are a lot of people.
Right.
So he was making artworks on those superheroes or characters or anime characters, and that nobody else was. I mean, people were doing it back then, but Aniket had a specific style when he started out.
Yeah.
Even though he was copying Justin Moller or something, he
Yes.
still had his own style. So I think that is why he blew up, because when he was not famous, I was still looking at his artwork and I was like, wow, that is something amazing. I have never seen this before, and I think that is why he blew up, because he had, even though he was sort of riffing off someone else, he still had his own style, and that is what got him famous. And since he got famous to now, there has been such a drastic change in his
Very big
style,
change.
because
Yeah.
you blew up in just the second year of you doing art.
Yes.
So that
Mm-hmm.
is when you're still figuring out what your style is. Cut to
Right.
now when you know what your style is.
Hmm.
So
So
what? Yeah, yeah. Continue.
no, no, you go ahead. I'd
So
like to listen to your question first.
yeah, so I wanted to ask what it felt like blowing up, because you were a very shy kid. You
Hmm.
still are a shy
Yeah,
person. I know.
right,
I've known you for a long time, and you're a very shy person. You're not a very social person. In
right.
person, you're not a very social person. But now that you have around 70,000 followers on Instagram,
Hmm.
uh, you interact with them. You sort of have conversations with them online, but offline you would not do that because you're a very
Right,
not social person. So
right,
how was it blowing up, and what exactly happened that made you blow up?
right. It was sort of like it happened like in an instant, and I was still trying to figure things out. Like the first artwork that I made, it was during one of the like boring lectures in our college. So uh, I used to bring my laptop to college. Like I was still taking up commissions and small works to get some money rolling through my art. So doing that, the Infinity War trailer came out, and there was a
Hmm.
screenshot of there was a frame of Captain America holding that new shield.
Hmm.
So I just picked that screenshot, and I thought maybe what could be done here. So I wanted to give it my style, but my like whole entire art career has been based on like building things from scratch and
Hmm.
not using like images as a base. Like photo manipulation is also one thing, and I appreciate everyone who does it, but it's not something that I would do like
Hmm.
on
Right.
my own. So I tried to like take that screenshot, and I sort of compromised on my founding
Hmm.
principle of doing art.
Hmm.
But then it sort of blew up. Like the first Captain America artwork, it had like 6,000 likes or something, and posted at 12 a.m. Woke up at again 6:30, for prepping up for college. Saw like 6,000, 7,000 likes, and back then I had like 12K followers, and my
Yeah, which was
average
still a big
was,
deal. I think it was
yeah,
still.
it was a very big
Hmm.
deal. Like so many reposts and all those things happening. It took my account from 12K to 15K in just one day. So
Yeah.
those 3K, but the biggest thing happened when someone reached out. Like there was a app called Showbox or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they
Yeah. I remember
they
that.
so a lot of people started requesting like do the same thing for Ant-Man, do the same thing for the entire cast
Yeah.
and all. I was like, what could go wrong? Like they are asking for it, even I want to make it, so why
Yeah.
not like explore this further? So like after 1 or 2 days, I posted my Ant-Man. That also blew up.
Yeah.
Third, I posted Black Panther piece. So after that Black Panther piece, Ant-Man and Captain America, Showbox, app named Showbox, they wrote an article about me.
Hmm.
Like there's three, this is something like Tron kind of feel and all those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
from there, like Screen Rant picked up. The biggest feature which happened to me was from Stanley.
Yeah.
So
Which
like
yeah, we will
the
get to later.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that was the only defining moment. Like followers and all those things, they came, they overwhelmed me sort of like when I was trying to post work
Hmm.
and all those things. uh, it helped me a lot, but the biggest feature that happened, like the most important thing of my art career, is getting featured by Stanley. It's
Yeah.
not just getting featured on his website, right? Because website was handled by a bunch
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And when he was when he was alive, he used to post on his Facebook very regularly, and it was
Hmm.
him posting this one.
It was him posting,
He
right?
shared, yeah, so he shared that article on his Facebook, and he wrote like "so cool" or something like that in the caption.
Yeah.
And that like got me a lot of traction on my Instagram. So
Yeah.
I remember like I'm not even sure like from how I went from 12K to 40 45K in a matter of like
Yeah. A
two
month, I
months
think. Yeah. In a month or
yeah,
two.
1 or 2 months. So that was the most like viral moment of my life. So
Yeah.
it
But
brought me a lot of
it's
fame. Yeah,
but I think it's such a beautiful thing for someone who is a fan of Marvel, for someone who's a
right,
nerd who has always been in
right.
all these superhero things, and
Crazy.
it is insane that you got featured by Stan Lee himself, the guy that
Right.
wrote everything, the guy who built
Hmm.
everything, and you respect
Exactly.
Stan Lee so much. And back then he was alive. Now we feel so sad. I feel so sad now even talking about him, but you
Yeah.
got featured by him back then, and I think that is the highlight of your career so far.
Career. Yes.
Yeah, and you
Totally.
have also been featured by other people, which indirectly
Yes.
featured. They did not credit you while they
Right.
were sort of sharing your
Right.
artworks, but
Yeah.
like the other features that you have had is the Russo brothers actually
Oh
had
yeah.
their
The
Twitter DP was one of your artworks for I think a month or
yes.
so. They
Month
didn't
or so.
know
Yeah.
it was your artwork, but it is still, I think I would still consider it like an indirect feature.
Yeah.
What other
Totally.
features did you get that you want to mention to everybody who's listening?
So like during that phase of the Infinity War phase, I
Hmm.
got like couple of features. From one was from Screen Rant, and
Yeah.
Showbox was the first to pick up. Stanley is always on the top.
Hmm.
That feature is always on the top. But
Right.
after that, sort of like the whole feature thing, it sort of went off. Like there was not many of those articles being written. Like
Hmm.
even like few websites they picked it up over the time again. But I think one more biggest feature that happened in I think 2019 was during Endgame. Mark
Hmm.
Ruffalo, he posted one of my art. He was
Oh
sharing some
yeah,
fan
yeah,
art.
yeah, 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 yeah. Right,
Yeah,
right, 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 right.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I completely
so
forgot about that.
yeah. So that one also was very crazy. Like
Yeah.
my account was sort of dying,
Hmm.
and I was not posting anymore. Like the Endgame series that I was working on, it had ended already. The
Hmm.
movie had came out, but then I'm not sure why or how he just picked up a bunch of artworks to share, and he shared it across Instagram, Twitter, Facebook,
Facebook, yeah.
everywhere. He gave proper credit to all the artists, so
Yeah,
which was a
which
very
is
good
rare,
thing.
by the way. Rare, by the
Yes,
way.
very
Yeah.
rare, very rare. So after that, like my dying account was saved by Mark Ruffalo. He
Yeah.
gave me like a boost of 2 to 3K followers in just 2 days or so.
Hmm.
So that was another big feature. I think apart from that, I've worked with like one of the pop culture company, Fandom, Get Fandom.
Yeah, Get
So
Fandom. You've worked with them for
yeah,
a lot of times.
two
You've worked with
three
them. Hmm.
yeah three times actually. So they have also like sort of written a bunch of things using my art, but that's
Hmm.
where like the professional part comes in. Like they paid me for the work, but I
Yeah,
did not
but
get
they
the
don't
credits.
credit you.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
how
but
things
that's
work when, yeah.
totally fair though. Fair though. Like
Yeah,
I
if,
got
yeah,
compensated well.
yeah. If they compensate you exactly for that, so that there is no
Right.
name on the artwork and that it
Yes.
says Get Fandom. It says that it's from their company. They don't want another artist
Right.
to be credited if they're paying for it. And that's how
Hmm.
things work. And now that
Yeah.
we are talking
Oh,
about yeah.
uh, talking about features, totally forgot about IGN featuring my work.
Oh
IGN
yeah, they
had
helped you a lot.
yeah, IGN featured my work. I
IGN.com.
think around yeah, they featured it for I think 10 or 12 times in a row. Like during the Infinity War phase,
Yeah.
every artwork they would post in like a couple of every week there was one artwork being shared by them,
Hmm.
and that also helped like growing my account way too much like back then.
Yeah, I think it was helping them as well because everybody was on
Yeah.
the hype train for Infinity War and Endgame, and your artworks were very amazing. And the artworks were not only getting you traction, but they were also getting them traction
Them
by
traction.
reposting.
Yeah.
And since we're on the subject, how, how many times have you not been credited by someone who is
Whoa.
whoever? I mean, they're famous people. They repost your artworks
Mm.
and then they don't credit you, which happens way too much. And I'm so glad
Yes.
that Mark Ruffalo actually gave you the credit when he
Hmm.
reposted it, which sounds insane to everybody who's listening because Mark Ruffalo just reposted something you made. It
Right.
is like
Uh,
it's not. Yeah, I've seen
right.
this happen firsthand. That's why it's not surprising me anymore because I've seen it happen.
Hmm.
But to anybody who's listening, they will be very surprised to know that it was such a casual deal back then because after you were featured
Yes.
by Stan Lee, it was like, okay,
Hmm.
now who can top this? Because
Right.
there are only few people you
Exactly.
consider over Stan Lee. But I think Mark Ruffalo is also in one of in that zone,
In that
uh,
zone. Yeah.
in that layer of people who you respect way too much and don't expect them to feature your work, but they did.
Right.
And even the Russo brothers, when they had your artwork as their profile picture, I think it was when
Mm-hmm.
Infinity War released, and I think it's a big deal for them to have an artwork for that long as their profile picture, which I think
Right.
gave you a very personal boost, even though
Mm-hmm.
there was no credit there, but you knew somewhere that they liked it so much that they kept it as
Kept
their
it.
profile picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like stealing and all those things, that
Oh
has
yeah,
happened a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. That has happened a lot.
Like
You. Hmm.
this not crediting me enough for my work, that has also happened like a bunch of times, like more than I can count. But the thing is, like initially I used to get bothered like the first couple of times,
Hmm.
say 10 or 20 times, when someone I would
Hmm.
personally reach out to them and try to make my audience try to uh, let them know like this is my artwork and all these things. But eventually you have to stop doing that. I think you have to
Yeah.
outgrow that at some point, because someone else is ripping my work off. That is fine. I mean, at this point it is fine with me.
Yeah.
I don't even bother
Also,
to reach out to them.
it's also fine because now everybody else knows that they're ripping it off, right? Because now
Yes.
you are famous, your artworks are known, your art style is known, so anybody that
Yeah.
copies you, people can
Hmm.
instantly tell that this has been copied by Aniket, like copied from Aniket,
Yeah.
and
Right.
they can tell that somebody just lifted from your artwork. And even
Hmm.
whoever made the artwork does not get the credit they deserve because they don't deserve
Right.
anything, and
Right.
people can tell that it has been copied and it's a copied artwork. So I think being
Hmm.
famous at this point helps really, because people already know, and even if they
Right.
don't, they can actually draw parallel with your artworks
Hmm.
and anybody who has copied, because it is so obvious,
Yes.
because some people don't even put effort into copying it. I have seen so many people doing the neon, copying the neon art style.
All
We
right.
even saw a few brands copying
Hmm.
that sort of art
Right.
style
Right.
when you were getting famous. And
Yeah.
I think that was insane that they did not even credit you with
Hmm.
the idea. But I think that's fine. That's a part of this digital artist thing,
Yeah, part
that
of growing up
you don't get
in it.
credited enough, you don't get
Mhm.
recognized enough for your artworks, and then somebody else reposts this and they get a lot of shares and reshares and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, it has happened so many times. I think it's a part of every digital artist's life that they
Yeah.
are after a point they are not bothered by people not giving them
Mhm.
credit. I think their attitude is like, yeah, if they know who I am, like even if they don't
Right.
know who this artwork belongs to, they will figure it out, and
Right.
someday they will know that it is my artwork. And
Hmm.
after a point, I think you don't need to be credited, and people just can tell that it's your artwork from the art style,
Totally agree.
right?
But I think there's one more small aspect to it. Like uh, when you see all these kind of small injustices happening to
Hmm.
you as an artist, I think that's where like all the famous or recognized artists that you'll see, uh, most of the people they complain about them having some or the other sort of ego in them. And
Hmm.
I personally feel like now that I have gone through it, like the small ego part, it comes from there. Like people ripping their works off,
Hmm.
and when they get credited enough, and when someone reaches out to them, they're like, why should I even bother, you know, uh, paying attention to these people?
Right.
So that's where I think when people talk about artists, some of the artists not being uh, human enough to say,
Hmm.
for a
Yeah.
lack of better word.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like all these experiences they add up and it affects their psyche somehow.
Hmm.
I personally went through this, so which is why I feel like this is what has happened, and this is what happens to a bunch of other artists.
One more thing that I wanted to ask is
Mhm.
how is your Instagram your part of your life now? Because now, back then you were not doing a job. Back then you were in
Right.
college. You were comparatively much. You had much more time back then. Even
Right.
if that college was that time was supposed to be spent doing college work, you were doing your
Right.
artworks and polishing your
Hmm.
art. But now I think you have a full-time job which takes a lot of your time throughout the week.
Yeah.
So how do
Hmm.
you manage being on social media and being active on social media, because you still post like every week you post.
Yes.
This year you do this thing every year where you post artworks every day, every single day of the year for about 100 days or something. How many days did
Yes.
you get to this year?
So I try to post, like my goal is always to post like throughout the year every day.
Hmm.
But I also know like that is not possible. But at least even if I hit the 100 artworks, benchmark,
Mark.
that is also fine. Like at
Hmm.
least I tried 100 artworks every day or 150 artwork. Like as of now, I completed around 140 plus of
That is
almost
great.
daily artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think after that, now I'm taking like a backseat and trying to take things slowly now, and that happens like every year, every second half of
Second,
every
yeah,
year
yeah.
basically.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
so
after a
I
point you also get tired of doing,
yeah.
and it takes a lot of time, because I've
Mhm.
everybody who has seen your artworks can tell that this takes a lot of time. It is not easy to make
Yeah,
them because they are so detailed.
right.
But still,
Mhm.
doing them every year for about 100 days or more than 100 days is insane, because even this year you did it for 140 days. That is
Right.
140 days of consecutive posting something, creating something, and
Mhm.
doing your job at the same time, which is
Right,
very tough,
right.
because when you do a 9 to 5, you have only a few hours left in your day, and
Yes,
you spend
yes.
those hours creating that artwork. You post it
Mhm.
online, and then you go to sleep, and in the morning you have to wake up in like four, five
Oh,
hours, and then get back to work, which you cannot skip
right.
because they are paying you
Mhm.
to
Right.
work. So
So
how has this been? How has how have you balanced things this year?
So
Or
yeah, so I think when I moved to the other city for work,
Bangalore, yeah.
the
If yeah,
yeah, so
Aniket lives in Bangalore now. He used to live in Mumbai, Bhinder in Mumbai
yes,
before.
yes,
Now he has
hmm,
moved to Bangalore, where
yeah,
his workplace is located,
okay,
and now he
yeah.
lives there. How long has it been, Aniket? A year and a
Uh,
half.
it's been 1 year already, like
Yeah,
1 year, 1 month. So that
yeah.
is like right now I'm back to Mumbai, but I'll
Because of
go
that's
back
because
there
of
at some
COVID.
point.
That's not because, yeah, you still live
Yeah,
in Bangalore pretty much.
yes.
Hmm.
So I think me live moving out there was the biggest change that I've ever had in my life.
Hmm.
Like there are only
Right.
2 3 things which I would uh, give that title, like giving the biggest change in my life, and moving
Hmm.
out was the biggest change. Like I'm pretty sure like you can also relate
Yeah.
as you've moved
Hmm.
out as of now.
Yeah.
But uh, like when you move out from a family, like living with your siblings and all, and you move to a place which is totally different from anything that you've experienced,
Yeah.
it sort of brings like a discipline in your life, and you have to wake up, you
Yeah.
have to do certain things on time.
Because there's
And
a responsibility of
yes,
yourself on your shoulders that you have to complete,
right,
because nobody else is
right.
going to
And
do things for you.
yes, yes. And me coming from, from a lot of health issues, it was
Yeah.
sort of like a responsibility also for myself. Like
Hmm.
I have to take care of myself first, and then everything comes secondary.
Hmm.
So I have literally planned my day out for the initial, when I moved there, which was last year, same time, the same phase.
Hmm.
2 3 months I did not post at all. I thought maybe when the new year comes, when I'll settle in a little bit, then I'll start posting again. So back then I had my scheduled planned and all those things, and then I started, like even at the work it was very basic. Like I joined as an illustrator, and my role was very sort of like they gave me a task, I give them the output, just
Hmm.
that I come there, I do my task and go home. Not
Hmm.
many interaction, not much responsibilities there also. But over the time I think that has also changed, like at least in the recent 6 6 7 months. So I personally feel uh, like when it was not this hectic as of now, uh, I used to stay up till 2 to 3 a.m. like working on my artworks
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I used to post at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., like whenever the time I would get. So that was the case until I think 3 months back.
Hmm.
So that was my schedule. As of now, like the responsibilities at work has also increased, and it's not just like I think people they sort of look down upon doing 9 to 5 as an artist,
Yeah.
but it's also like about your company as well, and
It's
I'm
about where
not
you
trying to
work.
plug yeah, not trying to plug anything in, but I think so far my journey at the 9 to 5 has been decent, like pretty well overall, all things considered.
Hmm.
And also I sort of enjoy working, even if it is some late hours and all. I
Hmm.
only work out of my comfort. Like if I want to, if I'm very much interested in that project, then only I'll work on it. Else,
Hmm.
uh, I'll close my laptop and all those things, and I'll get back to doing my task. So
Right.
that has been the case. So as of now, like instead of Instagram, my focus is more on my work life, the other life that
Hmm.
I'm trying to build.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also like in a way, it's also more stable to say, like
Yeah, of
compared
course
to
it is more
Instagram.
stable, and I think it's
Yeah,
a good job because initially you started off well on Instagram. Now you have about
yeah,
70,000 followers, which is constant. And even if you
hmm,
don't pay attention to it, even if your account is not growing, even if you are not gaining any followers, there is still a lot of
right,
followers that are not going to leave,
right,
so to
right,
speak.
exactly,
And I think it's important. You are at an age, we are at an age, we are both at an age where we have to focus on building the career, which I think is the more
right,
important part in life. We have to
yes,
focus on building a stable career, a stable income, and I
right,
think that is what you're focusing on right now, which is great. And
hmm,
everything else can come later, because your health is always your first priority, which also you
totally,
should take care of. And after you're you're taking care of your health, you should, I think, we are at the age where we should be building a career where we can have a stable income and
right,
fend for ourselves, feed ourselves and take care of ourselves.
totally. Hmm.
And you have been working at this company for over a year now.
Yes, over a
Uh,
year.
so how has your experience been? Because from going from doing only nerd based art, from
Right,
only pop
right.
culture based art, to doing something for a
A
corporate
corporate,
company,
yeah,
those
hmm,
are two very different things.
very different things.
It's literally poles apart from what you do.
Hmm,
So how
hmm,
has that experience been? How has it shaped you as an artist? Because I think
hmm.
everything you do professionally and everything you do personally are two very different things.
Very
Because one
different.
thing
Yeah.
one thing you like doing and one thing you're doing for work. Work
Hmm.
is work. It's not, you can't relate it to
Yeah.
your personal life.
Right.
It's still work.
Right.
And
Hmm.
your work and personal artworks are very different. Like it
Yes.
is literally poles apart. So what have you learned doing a job in a corporate, and how has that changed you as an artist? So please tell me
Right.
about that.
So lot of things. Like I think the most learning that have happened in my life has happened when I joined this company for work. I mean, it's not just because of this company; it's also like associated with me moving out, trying things on my own, and all those things. But I think one of the biggest learning is that I've gotten a little bit more social. I'm not that much more
Hmm.
introverted anymore.
Yeah.
Like I can hold on conversations for long if
Yeah.
required, like in certain situations.
Right.
So that is the biggest change. But in terms of my work and all, lots of learning. Like initially when I started, I was just doing illustrations for the company,
Hmm.
but then I also sort of like forever had an interest on the brand side of things, like how you can build a brand for a long term. So to keep
Right.
reading a bunch of things, like my work was not very hectic, to be very honest. uh, like half of my day, I think 40% of my day at least was spent learning and reading bunch of blog articles and all those things.
Hmm.
So all those learning, I started putting them into practice at work. I slowly started getting some different projects out of my comfort zone, which was not just doing illustrations,
Hmm.
but like websites and all those things. So that's where I started learning a little bit more about how to collaborate with people, which
Hmm.
is not my strongest suit, but
Yeah.
it, it's like I learned that like through that phase, like collaborating with a team, how to handle a team, and all those things.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think so far the biggest change is that like how to deal with a team of three, four, five people,
Hmm.
how to make them do the work, how to set
Yeah.
up process it.
Leading a
And I
team is
think
a very difficult thing. Yeah.
yeah, so as of now it's very sort of like the two worlds are very different, as you said, like totally different.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
there's some, like me setting up a process for doing some task has been in my life throughout. Like if I want to learn something out, if I want to plan something out, I'll probably make a list. I won't follow that list, that is a different
Mm.
story. But
Yeah.
that process making habit has come a long way from my Instagram artworks or
Hmm.
to doing my corporate work here. So that is the biggest change. Like there is some sort of parallels here and there, but totally different world. But they have
Hmm.
basically taught me like how to collaborate more, how to not do all the work on your own. You can
Yeah.
give some
That is
work to
also,
others
yeah.
also. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is one of my like, if someone is slowing me down, I would rather do that work on my own. But
Hmm.
that is not the case when you're working on a company. You have to
Yeah.
pull
You
everything.
can't
uh,
you can't do everything on
yes,
your own because they are
yes.
paying other people to do that
Right,
particular
right.
project. Right.
Exactly. So it's like bringing people up with, as you are growing as well.
Hmm.
So most of my time is now spent, coaching interns and all those people. So who are
which
just
is
starting out.
which is great because you have been there only for a year and now you have a
Yes.
team under you and you are
Yeah.
coaching other interns, which I think is a great
Yeah.
uh, it says a lot about how much you have grown in that company. And
Right.
coming back to what I was drawing a parallel on is that you have learned these two are very different things, your corporate job and your personal
Right.
artwork profile, your art profile.
Mhm.
And you have learned things from both ends of the
Yes.
spectrum and you have applied
Right.
those things on the opposite end, which
Right.
you have learned something from making your personal artworks and applied that in your
Mhm.
professional uh,
Right.
artwork, in your professional work, and you have learned things from your work, from your corporate job, and then applied that to your personal art, which is great because you have made use of everything you have learned
Right.
and
Right.
implemented it throughout
Mhm.
your art, so to
Right.
say. And that is great. That is really, i
So
think i think something you
mhm.
I think that is an experience you get only when you're doing two things at a time.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing this job, if you were only
Mhm.
freelancing,
Yeah,
if you were
it's
only
tough.
freelancing, you wouldn't have gotten all these experiences. And I know what
Right.
you say when you say people don't really appreciate how much a good 9 to 5 job can be for you as an artist.
Yes, totally, totally. So it's also because like other designers at my work who, there are the other people who are at the same level as me at work, but they are not too comfortable with, following processes and all those things.
Hmm.
But what I try to do is I try to bring structure to everything. And
Hmm.
that has been the case throughout. And like, as I said, I'm trying to learn the brand side of things, and those same things I'm applying to how I can build my own personal brand on Instagram. So it,
Hmm.
it is also
Right.
me starting my YouTube channel again, also
Hmm.
rebranding things on my Instagram, changing my logo, all those little things that can add up for a long term brand. So try to apply learning from both the worlds, try to bring out the best from both the worlds and
Yeah.
grow at both the places. Like as of now my Instagram is my secondary, everything secondary.
Yeah.
Like uh,
As it
I
should
got
be,
my,
I think.
yeah, as it should be. Like people, I have tried to monetize my Instagram
Hmm.
way too much compared to any other artist who's out there. I
Hmm.
have monetized it way too much. I've sold merchandise way too much using my
Hmm.
Instagram, freelance
Right.
work, whatnot, like all those things. But right now, like I'm at a phase like where I can, try to take it easy, try to take it as a hobby, and instead of
Yeah.
doing it for audience or trying to earn money out of it throughout constantly, I
Hmm.
can take it easy and just make artworks which can help me grow.
Yeah,
and it is
and
also,
you are also earning decently well at your corporate
yeah,
job. So that is why you don't have
right,
to struggle or hustle more
right.
to earn more money, because you are getting paid enough on your
Mhm.
corporate job. You also do a few gigs here and there, which is freelance.
Yes,
So that is
right,
also extra money that you're working extra
yes,
hard for. So I don't think
right.
there is a need to earn, not earn, but put effort a third time into something like Instagram and then
Yes,
try to earn more money,
totally.
because I think uh,
Mhm.
it's enough for now. For when
Mhm.
I think your company is paying you well, when you are getting gigs for from through freelancing.
Right. So gigs also, like I have been very selective now, like very, very
Yeah,
selective. Like only the gigs that will add up. Like earlier, like when we were in college and all those things, I would pick up like any random design job, like
yeah,
anything
yeah.
that
But
will
that's when we were
help
kids
me.
and we
But
needed the money.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That
Hmm.
is also a point. So,
Yeah, I remember
but
doing anything that came my way because it got
right,
me money, and there was no money when we were in college. We were only
yes,
living off of our parents, and having your own
yes,
money was a big deal back then. So anything you get, I accepted anything I got. I did anything I got. You did
right.
anything you
Same
got.
here.
But now
Totally.
it's very different, because now you get to choose.
Right.
Now you get to choose what you want to do and where you want to
Mm,
spend your time and effort doing things,
right.
because it's not about the money you earn. Now you realize
Mm.
that when you're not,
The
like, when you
right,
grow, I think you realize that it's not about the money you earn, it's about what is actually in your portfolio. Both of us being
right.
artists of different
Exactly.
sort, we know
Exactly.
that whatever
Mm.
is in your portfolio, whatever you have worked on, that matters the most, and that is
Most.
what will take you places, and not the amount of money you've earned.
Right.
So I
Right.
think that counts a lot.
Uh, like as of now, like the thing you said about portfolio, that is something which I am, focusing on right now.
Hmm.
Picking up very selective project, like very, very selective projects that can also pay me well, but I can also work on them with a personal interest, like not only
Hmm.
just for the
Right.
money and all, but also like because this I know this will add up to my personal portfolio. I'll also gain something personally
Hmm.
from this project. So those kind of projects is something that I'm picking, and they tend to go for a very run for a very long time. Like they're 2 months, 3 months long. It also
Hmm.
affects a bunch of other things, but that is fine. Like it is adding up to your portfolio, and also like I think as a creative person like you and me,
Hmm.
even if though we get a full time job, few things like not all the things from your job can add up to your portfolio.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is
yeah.
that
That is
was
true. That is true. Not
my
everything
that
you
is one.
do can add up. Oh, because work
Right.
is work. You still have to do
Yes.
it. But when you
Right.
have the liberty to choose a certain projects for yourself, I think you have to pick not everything that comes your way, but
Right.
something that will add to your portfolio.
Right. So, I think that is one of the most important thing, like which I have sort of learned. Like, not everything from your work will add to your
Hmm.
portfolio,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you have to respect it enough because they are helping you pay the bills. They are
Hmm.
compensating you enough, like for whatever you're doing.
Right.
So, and one of the best thing is like during this phase of COVID and all, having a job is the biggest, I think,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
benefit you can
Because
have.
freelance work is
So
down, everything else
yes,
is being pushed around, and now everybody who
right,
is freelancing, who is not on a steady payroll, is suffering now. So it's
totally.
great that you have a corporate job which is paying you
Mhm.
perfectly fine.
Fair enough.
Even,
Yeah,
yeah, you are not affected by the pandemic that much.
right.
Not, at least not on the financial side. So that's great for
Mhm,
you.
mhm,
And that actually brings me to a question,
mhm.
which is,
Right.
you talked about adding things to your portfolio, on how things are added, on how what you do is added to your portfolio. So I wanted to talk to you about your art style, because it has
Mhm.
changed since the time you started. Obviously it has changed,
Right.
but now it is very stable. Anybody that sees an artwork from you can tell that it's your artwork.
Right.
So how? And I wanted to ask, this is as an outsider, I'm asking you as an outsider who doesn't know much about digital art, is
Right.
how difficult is it to stick to just one style? And
Mm-hmm.
how tough is it to stick to just one style? And how often do you experiment and do something else that is not something you usually do, stepping out of your comfort zone? So I want to know
Mm-hmm.
about that.
So I think so far, as you said, like having just one art style is a constraint and also a blessing. Like people
Yeah,
know
it's
you
a
from
two.
that
Yeah,
art
it's a
style,
double-edged sword.
but it's also like typecasting yourself into just doing one thing,
Yeah,
and that has happened a lot. Like a lot. I wanted to like shift to multiple things. Like as of now, what I'm trying to do is I have moved ahead from doing the neon artworks, and you
yeah,
might notice that from my profile, like it has been months since I did a proper neon artwork on my
right.
feed. Even though that is not in my feed anymore, you can tell by the colors I pick and all those things. Like some elements of that style is present throughout my
Hmm.
artworks, like
Hmm.
even the recent ones. That is something which I'm trying to go for full scale illustrations and all those things, trying
Hmm.
to bring in my color palette from the neon side of things
Hmm.
and embed them here. So that is the case as of now. But also, like the urge to experiment is always there, like always there. I try to learn things and not post them on my Instagram, which is
Yeah.
what I have been doing recently. Lots of learning I'm doing, but not posting it anywhere. It's just kept in
Hmm.
my hard drive, nowhere else.
Yeah.
But again, it is a double-edged sword. Like you might not want to get into that zone. Instead, like any artist who's starting out, like why not try a lot of things? Because why not post
Yeah.
everything that you want to?
Yeah.
And
Right.
but anything you post should be quality content, of course. So
Yeah.
and also following just one art style, it sort of raises the bar for yourself. Also, like
Yeah, you
I
can't
did
do the
neon art.
same thing every time. Even
Yes, I
even if you have a same style, you have to innovate in that
have.
area.
Exactly. So I milked that neon art style
Hmm.
for 2 to 3 years. So like
Yeah.
it's a very long time to just do one style of artworks and
Hmm.
all those things.
Right.
And there would be phases where I would just like screw it. I want to try anything new. Anything new works. But also phases like what new can I do here? So over the time, my neon art style also has gotten very polished, very detailed,
Hmm.
and all those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Because
but
you did it for
like
2 3 years.
Yes, but now totally moved on from it. Like
Yeah.
it was a good run, a good
Hmm.
thing that I did. I'll
Yeah.
occasionally do it in the future, maybe not, who knows. But as of now, just trying to improve, the basics of doing art, like anatomy, how to draw human figures, and all those
Hmm.
things. So very foundational things which I skipped in the initial days. And
Yeah.
now I'm focusing on those things,
Yeah.
which shouldn't be the case. You should start from your foundations first. But
Yeah, but you learnt
uh,
everything on yourself by yourself. So I think that
yeah,
is why you missed out
yes,
on a few things that were basic. Because anybody who's getting a formal education in what you're doing,
right,
they will be
right.
taught formally in step by step what is supposed to be done. But
Mhm.
you learnt everything by
Right.
yourself, which
Mhm.
is why you skipped a few of those things, important things which you're learning
Right.
now. But I think that's fine
Yeah.
because they haven't affected your work till now, and whatever
Mhm.
work is going to come your way in the future, now you're learning it, so it's better late than never.
Yeah.
And like you talked
Exactly.
about your art style, I think you have now been completely moved on from the neon art style. Now you have an art style that still, I mean, it doesn't resemble your neon artworks, but we can tell
Some
that,
element.
yeah, some
Mhm.
elements, some colors that are in that artwork are also a part of your new art style, which is great because
Yes.
you have completely let go of that art style but still have
Mhm.
elements from it in your new art style, in your
Right.
current art
Right.
style. So I think that's great.
Mhm.
And wherever you move from here on, wherever your
Mhm.
artwork goes from here, it is still going to
Right.
be in a zone where it's a mixture of all. all your art styles that you have had so far? Because I remember the first art style also that you had was very
Right.
detailed and very nice. I really
Right.
enjoyed that as well before you
Mhm.
started doing neons.
Right.
So yeah.
So, lot of things like when we talk about me picking elements from my previous art styles and bringing them into newer one, that is also something which I cannot move on from completely. Like I mentioned, like I have moved on from it, but it is something like when I pick colors, my color picker
Yeah.
always
Your
goes to that
instinct, yeah.
neon tone. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a sort of like an instinct. It's a very, I'm not sure like how deep it is connected into my conscience. Like when I try to
Hmm.
pick colors and all those things, but always they are vibrant colors, like vibrant neon colors and nothing else. Then I try to bring them down in some cases because the kind of artwork that I'm doing right now, they don't support all those color tones.
Yeah.
So that is the case as of now. But it's also something I do like out of my instinct, like
Yeah.
just going there,
I think it
color.
happens with me too because whenever I'm editing a
Yeah,
photo and I have a
right,
certain style of editing photos, so I had a different style back until last year. I had a different style. So whenever I'm editing a
right,
photo, my color picker also goes to
right.
a certain color
Yeah, certain tone.
zone where
Yeah,
it automatically goes there, and then you change it from that to something else. It's never that you change it from something to it. It
yes,
always lands there first, and then you drag it
and
from
then
there to a point where it
yeah,
looks good.
totally relatable, totally relatable.
Yeah.
So,
I think all of us have that favorite spot in the color
yeah,
chart where we just like to put
see,
our finger.
favorism is always there, like
Yeah.
in kind of like that doing the kind of artworks or you shooting any kind of subject and all those things. I think
Yeah.
there's sort of like you would also like to shoot some like landscapes or something. I'm not entirely sure, but
Yeah.
favorism is always there, like in
Yeah,
any creative field.
you start to like something so much that you want to do more of it, and you want to
Yes.
implement it in everything you do. So
Hmm.
it's a good thing, because
Yeah.
that particular form or that particular genre of what you're
Mhm.
doing is getting polished over and over again because you keep doing
Right.
it and it just keeps getting better. It's never
Right.
going to be not good because you did it too much.
Yeah.
It's just going
Right.
to be
Exactly.
better. After a point you will get bored of it, or somebody who's watching it might get bored of it, but it's
Mhm.
still a pretty decent piece of art if you have done it
It is.
so many
It is.
times.
And, like even when I have worked on so many neon artworks, even now when I go back or when I work on any piece, like it's been a long time since I made a neon artwork, but even back then, like when I was fed up of it, sort of like I don't want to
Hmm.
do it anymore. But after looking at the final result, I would also feel like, okay, this is
Yeah, it
looking
is good.
something.
Yeah.
It is good. It is good. It is not bad. It's just me who's not feeling this art style anymore. But
Hmm.
it is also sort of like your reflex and your reflexes have gotten used to the art styles also. So
Hmm.
when I draw that art style, it just come back like whenever I want to do it, it's just there. So no trying to recall things and all those things.
Hmm.
It's always there. Even
Yeah.
like I'm
In the
pretty
back of
sure
your
like
head
when
is always playing.
yes, I think it is applicable to any kind of creative work. I think that's what I feel.
Yeah. That is, yeah.
Right.
I would strongly agree with that because it always happens with all of us creatives.
Mhm.
And yeah.
So now I'll ask a few things to you.
Oh yeah, sure,
You
sure,
have you've
sure.
been only asking like let's make it a little more about you as well.
Yeah.
So like always interested like what got you to thinking about doing photography again? Like I know you were doing it
Hmm.
freelance and all those things
Yeah. Yeah.
even when you were here after engineering and all.
Hmm.
But what got you thinking like I need to get a formal education in this thing? Because I have also considered like trying to apply to art school, but I think
Hmm.
like it has been too late for me to go
Yeah,
anywhere
yeah,
and
yeah.
learn those things. It's
Yeah.
better I learn that myself. So what got you thinking about that? Like I want to do that again, and I
Yeah.
learn from the basics.
Okay. Okay. So everybody who's listening who doesn't know, I am currently enrolled in a film school where
Yeah.
I'm doing a course in advanced filmmaking, which is a year-long course, and I've been making videos for quite some time now. there have been amateur videos. Some of them have been a little bit more professional, but I'll still call them amateur. And I've been doing them from for some time, and now coming back to learning it. I think that is what Aniket is asking me. It
Right.
happened actually. It happened because my parents wanted me to get a formal
Okay.
education. They were not on board with me proceeding with art as a career, with photography and filmmaking as a career, and they didn't think I would do well enough in life if I was doing it directly and like I mean without any formal education. And they wanted me to get an education that supported the career that I am going to follow, because I have completely left the engineering life, and so have
Right.
you. I think we left
Yes.
it as soon as college got over. So
Totally.
I have left that life completely, and my parents wanted me to get a formal education in something that I want to pursue a career in. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and it would not I mean they wanted it so that I have a better prospect career wise, that I earn
Right.
more money if I am like a certified, even though in art it does not work like that. In any
Right.
creative field, it does not matter what amazing school or college that you have graduated from. It does not matter unless you have the skill or the skill
Right.
set. So even if someone who has studied from the most amazing college in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and if you compare it to someone who has learnt everything on his own, if the latter has a better skill, anybody who's hiring will hire the second person, because
I
this is
can.
not
I can. I can agree on that. Yeah.
yeah, because this is not an IT field or anything else that uh, in art it does not matter what level of qualification you have. It just depends on your skill and how
Yeah.
much and how well you can do the things you are doing. So I also think I was a very noob filmmaker, and I didn't practice much. I didn't get to practice much because I was doing a lot of things. But
Right.
still, I also felt somewhere that I wanted to learn how they make films, because
Mm-hmm.
I also thought about doing this in India, but I think that Bollywood and Hollywood are so different, and
Very
I
different.
find myself more interested in what people are doing here in Hollywood. And I've always been more interested in watching the shows that they
Mhm.
make here, the movies that they make here. I'm not saying I don't
Right.
watch Indian content. I watch it, I love it,
Mhm.
but I wanted to learn how they make things here in Hollywood, on how
Right.
these professionals work here, because the
Mm-hmm.
work style, uh, the
Ethics and
the
all.
the ethics, everything is so different here. I wanted to learn it,
Right.
and my parents wanted me to learn as well. So that is why I moved to New York this year. Very wrong
Right.
year to move to New York City, by the way. 2020,
Right.
worst year, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's fine. I still get to learn a lot, and I decided to learn because I also felt somewhere that I don't know enough. I still don't know enough.
Right.
I'm still learning. Even today, when I'm attending my lectures, even if they're
Mm-hmm.
online, I get to know so many things, so many new things. I
Right.
learn so many new things every week. So I think
Mm-hmm.
I'm really happy that I chose to come here and study filmmaking, because I did
Right.
not know a lot. In photography, I can say I know a lot because I have done it for a while. I've practiced it for a while. I've worked professionally for a while. But as a filmmaker, as someone as a cinematographer, I have not done a lot of work. So I'm
Right.
glad I came here and I studied it. I'm still studying it, and I'm going to study for a few more months. So that was my inspiration and story behind coming here and
It's
studying again.
it's sort of very personal, but it is all like almost very shocking. Like I know that both of our parents were not that supportive of our
Yeah,
careers initially
yeah,
when we started out,
yeah,
and now it's like even my parents, they tend to take more interest in the kind of work I do. The
yeah.
same is with you. I hope so.
Yeah. They have
Can't.
actually. It's been a complete 360 for them, because I've
Yes.
seen
Okay.
your parents ease into your art life because they wanted you
Mm.
to get a job,
Right.
and then they saw that you were earning enough money from this, and then you got a
Right.
full-time job in the art field, which is great,
Mhm.
and then they supported you. For me, it has been very different because my parents until last year were not supportive at all, and they did
Okay.
not want me to do this at all. So
Oh,
from them not supporting me at all last year to now them watching my YouTube videos and waiting for me to post something on YouTube, it has been quite a
right.
journey.
Journey.
And
Yeah.
sometimes I can't believe that these are the same people who did not want me to do this at all until last
Exactly.
year,
Same.
and now they wait for me to post a video on YouTube, and then they watch it and
Right.
they share it to their friends and everyone, and they tell me how they liked my video. Which
Right.
YouTube is still a very small part of my life. I don't post much there, but whatever I post, it
Mhm.
is still a film. It is still, I think,
Right.
everything you upload to YouTube is a film, because
Film.
you're
Yeah.
putting so much effort into it. So
Mhm.
I think it has been quite a journey for both of us, where our parents
Right.
initially had no plans of supporting what we were doing and wanted us to do
Right.
something completely different. But I'm glad
Yes.
both of us chose to stand for ourselves, take a stand, and not fall for everything that society wants us to do. As
Totally.
after you have graduated engineering and everybody wants to work, everybody wants you to work a 9 to 5 job, and you are working a
Totally.
9 to
Yeah.
5 job, but now you're working a job where you are actually enjoying doing it and
Right.
in a field that you
Exactly.
like working in. So I think
Mhm.
everybody who is listening, I would suggest, if you're still in college, if you are still if you can still choose, you can choose where to work and what to work in, irrespective of your age. Anytime you feel
Right.
that it is not helping you grow as a person, I think you should just quit and start over in
Right.
something that you actually like doing. So
Mhm.
anybody who is doing something out of force, out of, oh, what will I do if
Right.
this does not work out, I think you should take that risk and try doing something you actually like. Because working for I have done a job for, I worked for 4 months where I was not interested at all, which I think you
Right.
didn't have to do because you were always in the art field. But I
Yes.
sort of worked at a company for about 4 months just because my parents wanted me to, and it
Oh,
was the
yeah.
worst time of
I
my
recall.
life. I hated it,
Yeah.
and
I recall the situation. Yeah.
I hated that, and that sort of pushed me over the edge where I was like, okay, now I am not going to do this. This is not
Mhm.
something I want to do, and I'm just wasting my life not doing something I like. So instead of
Right.
wasting my time
Mhm.
doing something I don't like, I'll rather learn something new, or polish what I actually know already.
Right.
And that is why I put so much time and effort into learning what I'm doing now, and I'm so glad that I'm learning because there is so much to learn. And I think
Definitely.
in your field as well, there is so much to learn. It just never ends,
Lot of
and
lots of things.
it's never tiring to learn more. It's always interesting to learn more
At
because
least,
you
at
always
least
get
in our.
to, yeah, in the creative
Yeah.
zone, I think it's always like that, when uh, there is always more to learn, and even if you get perfect at one thing, there will always be one thing that you are shit at and that you have to learn how to do. So I think
Right. Exactly.
I respect the art field for that, and I have a lot of friends in the artistic field who are different creatives, and that is what I wanted to do with this podcast. I wanted to call on different creatives that I know,
Right.
and it's not limited to artists only. It's any people that I think have a creative brain. It can be entrepreneurs, it can be athletes, it can be anything. But I think that's what likes that's what I like. I like talking to people who are, who think differently. uh,
Right.
so that is why I
Agree.
started this podcast, so I can talk to people who are like me, who don't think as
Mhm.
per usual, as normally. And yeah, that has been the inspiration to start this podcast.
Yeah. I also like my podcast that I was working on never
Hmm.
got to editing the episodes,
Yeah.
but sort of in the same lane as you.
Hmm.
Even the name and all those things are already there, but sort of like more about the creatives and
Yeah,
digital artists and all those people. Yeah,
because the people we work around and the people that we are inspired by, we want to have a conversation with them, and it's an
right,
interesting conversation that other people might like. So that is the whole
right,
purpose of this podcast, that
so,
somebody listening to this might get inspired by what you are saying, might get
mm,
inspired by what I am saying, and might find it
yeah,
interesting. So
totally.
on that note, we will end
Yes,
this podcast here.
totally.
And thank you so much, Aniket, for coming over,
No
for
worries.
sparing us some time.
Yeah,
And to everybody who's listening or watching on YouTube, thank you so much if you've watched so far. And if you've watched so far, please consider following
subscribe.
and subscribe to this podcast. Once
Yeah,
again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
okay.